She is bleeding and crying out for help, but suddenly a terrifying skeletal creature with hollow eyes grabs her by the waist and drags her back into the black water. She punches it repeatedly, manages to slip free, and runs toward a nearby road. Just as she thinks she is safe, a mysterious figure wearing a plague mask blocks her path. She begs him to stop, crying out that she can't bear to die again, but the masked man casually lifts a heavy iron sledgehammer and crushes her with it. Cut to exactly 1 year later. Maya's younger sister, Chloe, is driving down a deserted highway with her 4 friends: Lucas, Sam, Tina, and Kevin. They are heading toward Blackwood Ridge, the last known location where Maya went missing. Chloe pulls out her phone to show everyone a disturbing video message Maya sent right before disappearing. In the video, Maya looks panicked, standing in front of an abandoned diner, stating she had to run away after their father's death. The friends arrive at that exact diner. Kevin, who believes he has spiritual powers, convinces everyone to form a circle and hold hands to connect with Maya's spirit. Suddenly, their ritual is violently interrupted when a massive cargo truck blares its horn, nearly hitting their parked car. Chloe walks inside the diner to show the old cashier a photo of Maya. The man barely glances at it, stating that hundreds of outsiders vanish in the valley every year. He warns them to turn around, but a stubborn Chloe tells her friends they are going deeper into the woods. That night, a massive thunderstorm hits. Driving conditions become impossible, and the group starts arguing about turning back. Suddenly, their car passes through a weird wall of thick blue fog, and they instantly emerge into a bone-dry, quiet area. Looking back, they can see the raging thunderstorm completely trapped behind an invisible wall in the air. Their phones have no service, and right in the middle of a clearing stands a massive, decaying colonial mansion. Chloe spots a dark silhouette standing on the road. Believing it is her sister, she runs into the dark. Her ex-boyfriend Lucas goes after her, reaching through the invisible barrier into the rain to pull her back. When they look again, the figure is gone. Meanwhile, Sam, Tina, and Kevin are already exploring the house. Inside, they find incredibly strange things: a calendar frozen on April 1974, a huge antique hourglass on the table, and rusted surgical tools hanging on the walls. Tina opens the mansion's guest book and is horrified to find that Maya signed her name dozens of times across the pages, with the ink getting messier on every single page. Sam notices that the giant hourglass has suddenly been flipped over, even though nobody touched it. Seconds later, they hear their car engine roaring outside. They look out the window and see their own vehicle moving on its own, crashing wildly into the trees before spinning around to run them down. They barely dive back into the house before the doors slam shut by themselves. Lucas, Chloe, and Kevin head to the lower levels to find a way out. Strangely, the basement looks like a pristine hospital ward, complete with underground windows looking out into solid dirt. Upstairs, Sam hears a clicking sound and leaves the room to check it out. The lights suddenly go dark. When Tina turns her flashlight on, she screams in horror. The masked killer has pinned Sam to the wall with a giant bone saw. Hearing her screams, Lucas runs back upstairs. He peeks into the room and watches the killer slowly decapitate Tina. Lucas tries to sneak up on the giant, smashing a heavy wooden chair over his back, but the killer doesn't even move. He effortlessly turns around, grabs Lucas by the throat, and drives a surgical blade straight through his chin. Downstairs, Kevin is dragged into a closet by a massive, pale hand, and his muffled screams quickly fade out. Chloe runs out of the house into the woods, tripping over tree roots. The masked killer slowly catches up, raising his sledgehammer. As he swings it down onto Chloe's face, the giant hourglass back in the house completely resets, spinning upside down. Instantly, all 5 friends gasp and find themselves standing back in the living room at the exact moment they first walked in. They all retain their horrific memories of being brutally murdered. Kevin panics, pointing at the wall where their own faces are now featured on the missing flyers. The lights begin to shatter one by one, plunging them into darkness. Kevin suddenly drops to the floor, his limbs snapping and twisting into unnatural shapes as his eyes turn completely milky white. A booming, layered echo of terrifying voices screams out of his mouth, causing the friends to bleed from their ears. When the lights flicker back on, Kevin has completely vanished. Suddenly, Maya's voice cries out from the front porch, begging to be let in. Chloe runs to open it, but Lucas restrains her, remembering Kevin's demonic warning. Maya's screams turn into a horrific tearing sound outside. Chloe manages to break free and opens the door, but the yard is completely empty. Instead, a bizarre, glowing greenhouse has materialized across the lawn. Before anyone can react, an invisible gravity slams Chloe onto the grass and drags her screaming body directly into the greenhouse, locking the doors behind her. Lucas tries to run after her, but Sam and Tina hold him back, arguing that Chloe is already dead and they need to save themselves. They sprint to the car, but a giant, multi-limbed creature emerges from the woods, crushing the vehicle with them inside. Inside the greenhouse, Chloe finds jars of strange parasites and an old television playing a black-and-white broadcast about a medical facility cave-in. A terrifying old woman in a patient gown approaches her, telling Chloe that the only way to leave the valley is to become the fuel. She forces Chloe to swallow a glowing parasite, turning Chloe's eyes completely black. When Lucas finally breaks into the greenhouse, a brainwashed Chloe steps out of the shadows and stabs him to death. The hourglass flips again, initiating the third loop. Tina's hair is now falling out in clumps and Kevin is growing terrifyingly sharp rows of double teeth. Realizing their bodies are physically degrading with every reset, they desperately look for clues. Chloe finds a hidden vault filled with old patient logs revealing that the town's local doctor, Dr. Vance, was a mad psychiatrist who conducted illegal psychological experiments on mining survivors 50 years ago. He discovered that extreme, repeating human terror could warp reality and create a pocket dimension. They watch an old 16mm film reel showing that Dr. Vance's patients eventually mutated into ravenous wendigos due to the constant trauma of dying and resetting. Suddenly, Dr. Vance speaks to them through the mansion's intercom system. He offers a cruel deal. If they choose one person to willingly sacrifice themselves to the house forever, the other 4 can walk across the fog border and go home. Sam instantly turns on Chloe, wielding a rusted pipe, but Tina stabs Sam in the back to protect her. Unfortunately, the noise alerts the monsters, and a pack of wendigos sweeps through the house, tearing Sam and Tina to shreds. Chloe and Lucas escape into the sunken underground ruins, but Chloe accidentally steps into a massive bear trap. Knowing they can't escape, she begs Lucas to kill her before the monsters do. A crying Lucas uses a sharp rock to slit her throat, before drinking contaminated puddle water out of pure despair, causing his own lungs to violently rupture and explode. Chloe wakes up screaming. This time, they don't even reset in their normal positions. They wake up trapped in a locked padded cell. Tina checks the guest book on the table. Their names are signed exactly 13 times. This is their absolute last life. If they die now, they die for real. Suddenly, a loud air raid siren blares outside, and through the window they see the masked killer, the old greenhouse witch, and a horde of wendigos marching toward the mansion all at once. Instead of running, Chloe grabs a heavy fire axe and declares she is going to end this cycle once and for all. They escape through a hidden drainage pipe into the subterranean clinic. They encounter a wendigo, but Lucas and Kevin work together to trap it under a heavy iron gate. Chloe rushes into the primary lab and finds Kevin's missing body strapped to an electric chair, with Dr. Vance sitting nearby, calmly writing in a clipboard. Dr. Vance explains that the entire valley is powered directly by Chloe's generational trauma and grief over her family. While he boasts about his grand experiment, Chloe notices a rusty pipe leaking highly corrosive battery acid directly above Vance's teacup. She intentionally goads him, distracting the doctor until he takes a deep gulp of his drink. The acid instantly melts his internal organs from the inside out, causing his body to collapse into dust. Chloe grabs his keys, frees Kevin, and the remaining friends sprint toward the iron cross in the yard as the entire pocket dimension begins to violently collapse around them. The ground splits open, and hands reach out from the mud to pull them down, but they pull each other up with pure teamwork. The very last grain of sand falls in the antique hourglass, but instead of spinning, the glass violently shatters. The invisible barrier pops like a bubble, and the bright.